Coming up next on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell, and my co-hosts Ron Richards and Win Tweedao, and we have a lot to talk about because this is the week of Mobile World Congress. That's right, Hamon is on. We talk about news and devices that were announced, namely OnePlus, Oppo, Realme, Honor, TCL, Poco. We even have news from Qualcomm about lossless audio over Bluetooth. And then we have other news, including the ways the Play Store helps users vet apps, and why is AT&T mucking around with RCS chat, plus your email, and a whole lot more next on this supersized episode of All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Streak. Whether you're tracking sales, fundraising, hiring, or support, Streak is a CRM that will help you stay on top of all your processes directly inside Gmail. Get 20% off your first year of their Pro plan, their most popular option, by going to streak.com/AAA. And by Coinbase. Cryptocurrency might feel like a secret club, but Coinbase believes everyone should be able to get in the door. Whether you've been trading for years or just getting started, Coinbase can help. For a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/partner/AAA. Hello and welcome to All About Android. This is episode 567, recorded on Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. Your weekly source for latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
Android.
And I'm Win Tweedao.
Yeah, Wiz
All
back.
right.
How's it going, y'all?
Hey.
Doing good. We're here kicking off March, right? It's March 1st.
Oh my goodness, it's already
I know.
a quarter of the year.
Snuck up on you. Not yet. We've got 30 more days till we're done with a quarter of the year.
That's true.
So,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
but,
if you want to be specific, that's very true.
February is just a short month. It just ends very quickly on you. It sneaks up on you. So.
Yeah. Well, what's weird now is that we've got what is it? Daylight saving time is like a week,
2 weeks,
a week and a half or something like that.
It's the 13th, March 13th. It will be like that. Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
Which I don't mind at all. I like when the clock switches in this direction, actually, so that it's lighter later and everything. But it's just like I just feel like I live in a time machine these days.
It's tough. Well, speaking of time machine, I mentioned this earlier in our little private chat. I didn't get a response, but I got here in the home front. I got a treadmill. Something I've been meaning to do for a while because I was tired of not being able to run in the winter. And so I picked up a treadmill with one of those displays in front of it. And it has Netflix and Disney Plus and all that stuff. And so as I was like playing, they installed it. They like came and built it today. And I looked at it, and sure enough, it's running Android.
Huh.
So I thought that was interesting. So Bowflex. The Bowflex.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because I think the Peloton also runs Android. If I'm not mistaken.
I feel like and like it was it last week? When did we have was last what was who was our
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago. Yeah, right. Yeah, when we had Gabriel on, when we were talking about Android on devices other than phones and tablets, like on kiosks and things like that. It's that immediate sort of thing. I don't know what version it is, but obviously you can't. You like when I hooked up the Wi-Fi, it's like it's unmistakably Android. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you going to sideload on your treadmill?
The great thing was that I got this one because it had everything that I need, so I don't need to sideload it because also my wife needs to use it.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to add any I don't want to add any too many obstacles to actually get to using the darn thing.
Yeah.
So I got this one because it had all the apps kind of pre-installed and in good shape there. So we'll see. I haven't been able to use it yet. But I'll play with it. I'll report back. But it's running Android. So there you go. Android in the wild when you least expect it.
Actually, at this point, I kind of expect it when there's an OS running on a random device like a treadmill or the seat back on an airplane or whatever. I kind of expect that it's running Android, and I'm surprised when it's not. It seems like more and more that just happens.
Yeah.
That's the game we used to play when my husband and I would travel. Like if we go to like a museum or something and we'd see like a tablet, we kind of like start messing around with it, trying to see if we could see like what like version of Android it was. And it actually invariably was ice cream sandwich for like a long time. You'd get that really characteristic light blue like outline on the dialogues. But it was actually like back then, like 2016, 2014, it was kind of fun. because Android still felt kind of scrappy and underdoggy.
Yeah.
But then when you would go to like somewhere and like there's Android, everyone's like, just like, you know, stealthily like whinging. Yeah.
Nothing but net. Yeah. Yeah. Well, right on.
And then just one last timely thing, but a quick shout out to our sister in arms, Florence Ion, who her along with her fellow workers at Gizmodo are on strike. So a quick vote of solidarity to the GMG union and wish them luck and all that fun stuff. So
yes, indeed. Totally there for you, Flo. Wishing y'all luck.
Yep. Be strong.
Yes. All right. Well, we've got a busy week this week because, as we talked about last week, it's Mobile World Congress week, and we've got 2 huge sections of hardware devoted to MWC, but we're not there yet because, Burke, it's time for the news. He wasn't ready.
So not ready.
We made sure Burke was happy, but he wasn't prepared for Android news. So there you go. All right. So it was funny because just recently I was talking with some of my friends who aren't in the mobile phone Android technology world, and I was talking about this podcast. And they were teasing me a little bit, and they're like, what are some of like the hot button topics that you guys really get into arguments about on All About Android? And I was like, well, actually, messaging is a topic that keeps coming up in RCS.
Coming back.
Yeah. And so I started explaining it, and then they interrupted me and said I didn't actually want to know. So it was one of those situations. But
ouch.
So it's funny how, you know, I feel like we can't go 2 weeks without RCS coming up. And here it is, you know, and even though RCS was meant to be the thing to unite us all, and it really felt like we were getting there to the promised land, apparently AT&T is rolling out its own RCS in the new Galaxy S22 devices on its network. AT&T appears to be using its own RCS protocol on the device instead of Google's, and users are complaining that RCS features only work with other AT&T RCS users. Messages with anyone else are you seeing standard SMS and MMS messages. AT&T representatives in support forums seem to confirm that RCS only works between S22 devices using AT&T's RCS, and no word on when or if this might ever change. And like, all I have to say to this is, I don't want to curse, but GD, like, come on, haven't we been here enough? Like, so now AT&T is gonna replicate the same sins that Apple has done with our own technology. What? Come on. And of course, if anybody was going to do it, it was going to be AT&T, right?
Of course.
Super frustrating. Yeah. And I don't know, you know, it's kind of uncertain, like what the long-term kind of plan is here. Like as I was reading the different coverage, you know, the Reddit threads and then the coverage of the Reddit threads and everything, it doesn't seem like there's any definitive from AT&T saying, yes, that's right. Going forward, we're using our own flavor of RCS, and it's going to make it so that these things happen. You know, you aren't able to have RCS conversations with the people the way you used to. Like, there's no confirmation of that yet. So I don't know. You know, from my perspective, it's hard to know whether this is actually the future of AT&T RCS or RCS on AT&T devices, or if this is just some weird thing that for whatever reason is present in Galaxy S22 devices, and at some point they're going to address it.
Why would it be S22 specific? Like,
yeah, it's
like,
a good question.
Like, is this going to woo you to get an S22? No. Because then you can have like this seems like if they're going to roll it out, they would roll it out with the S22 because it was such a large thing, and then apply it to their entire network.
Yeah,
that's my speculation. So.
It's an anti-woo, anti-wooing.
Yeah.
That's So.
Don't necessarily want to be anti-wooed when you're trying to sell a new device. Although I don't, you know, how many people are shopping for the new S22 and are going to hear about this or read about this. Probably a small percentage of people would even understand, you know, reading an article about this, what it actually means. But it's just unfortunate considering that it's, you know, what we've been saying on this show and what people have been saying about RCS is, hey, here's a great way to kind of like unify things a little bit more across a large swath of devices so that everybody's kind of talking the same messaging language. And wait a minute, no. Are we going into a fragmentation world with RCS? Was this the plan to begin with? Like, you know, not too long ago, the carriers were creating their own flavor of RCS. right? And then Google like went ahead and pulled the trigger and said, well, we're putting it on all the phones. And then the carriers kind of like stopped their collective thing that they had going on, and
because they couldn't meet eye to eye, right? Like, or who knows why?
Yeah, for whatever reason that was. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would assume that's the reason. That seems to make a lot of sense. But then it seemed like they all kind of jumped into the Google RCS thing, and ultimately that makes everyone happy, right? Because the communication is not broken in that way. So then to revert, like, is this AT&T being like, well, we've been working on it. I realize you've been doing the Google thing, but we've been working on ours and we have it now. Here we go. Don't you love it? And meanwhile, it just like breaks everything that everybody's used to. It's just super unfortunate and lame.
Lame.
It just seems like a sunk cost fallacy a lot of times, and it's very common, I think, when, especially in companies, when you're developing, you put resources and time into something, that you get the sunk cost fallacy where, okay, we put effort into it. There might be a better way, but it's going to cost us additional money, or it's going to be someone else's solution, but we'll just stick with ours for better, for worse. Like it's what is it? Like a phrase like somebody used to work with you. We said like the hill you die on.
Yeah, right.
Apparently their own flavor of RCS is the hill that AT&T, well, they're not going to die, but, wants to, settle down and have a picnic on for a while. Meanwhile, the rest of us are like, why are you making liars out of us, AT&T? With our like prophesizing of RCS solving everyone's problems. But it's just that thing, right? It's like, yeah, you can complain about Google and the manufacturers. And then yet there's yet another factor in Android F word, fragmentation.
Yeah.
Say it, is the carriers.
Just how many levels of F words can we have in Android? That's
many.
Yeah.
It's a fragmentation of F words, basically.
Yes. Is that like the plural of the F word? A fragmentation?
Yes.
A fragmentation of F words?
Yeah.
I like that.
F words all over the place on Android. I can't imagine that if this is the AT&T RCS in action, and what we have to look forward to is an AT&T RCS that doesn't communicate with the Google RCS in a way to where all Android users can kind of talk the same language in messaging apps, I can't imagine that survives. I can't imagine that it lasts, that AT&T is doing itself any favors. I don't know. Part of me just feels like it's an accident, and that we'll find out, a week later that it's all back to normal. But as of the time of this recording, it does not appear to be an accident, or rather they haven't undone it. So I don't know. I don't know what this leads to, but I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
Nope. So last year, Android announced that they would have a new kind of safety section in the Google Play Store, which basically requires developers to specifically state every single permission that they request and what they're specifically used for. And it was kind of like a little bit muddy at the time, but I think about the last quarter of 2021, they started kind of making the information required available to devs. And I had to help answer these questions at work. And the idea was that you had to have basically filled out this information, which is again, like what features you use and specifically for what. And also like whether this is like a permanent permission that you're needing or an optional one. And the idea was that these had to be done by end of Q2, which I guess is June. But now you have a little bit more time if you're an Android dev to answer these questions about what permissions you need. And I think they said July 2022 is when developers will need to make sure that they correctly fill out the Play Store's data safety section. And if you don't get it done by July 2022, there will be ramifications. Dun, dun, dun. So, it's pretty interesting because this safety section will be visible for users and hopefully give a little bit more kind of human readable, a little less, we could always see what permissions an app use, but now there's actually requesting of a purpose, like why do you need this thing? Why do you need to know my number, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully users can make more of a informed choice about what permissions they give apps, or just whether they want to download an app at all. Do y'all ever pay attention to permissions, or is this kind of interesting to you? Would you delete an app based on the safety section if they had an unsafe section? That sounds. Well,
I got to tell you before we answer that, I will say this throws off all my plans for my future mobile development. This is a major. We need to pivot now. We totally need to pivot now. I will be honest. I do not look at anything when I go to install an app. When I go to install the app, I've decided I want it. And like, I'm not looking at the developer notes. I'm not looking at the reviews. Like, I'm just like, oh, let me get that and do it. I probably should, but in the moment, you know, like it falls back on that trusted source. Like if I'm looking for like a ruler app and I don't recognize any of the developers, I might read a little bit about it. But if I'm looking for like, you know, if Google releases a new app or Facebook or some other like, you know, kind of develop, you know, company that I Trello company that I trust and know, I'm just going to install it blindly. That said, there have been apps that I've installed and then open, and then I get the dialogue saying this app wants access to your phone. And I'm like, wait a minute, that app doesn't need access to my phone. That's when I pause. That's when I stop. I feel like that intersection in giving the app level permission as you're using it really changed the way we look at what apps are doing. But before that point, I mean, if they can replicate that kind of get in your face with what the permissions are when you go to install it, then maybe I'll look at it. But right now it's blind. So what about you, Jason?
Yeah. I mean, with some apps, I'm totally right there with you, Ron. Like usually, I also don't install a whole lot of apps these days, you know, and probably part of the reason is because we don't have the arena around anymore. But, you know, so when I am to a point where I'm going to install an app, it's like I've discovered it somehow. I don't really go into the Play Store and choose blindly, right? Like there's some sort of referral or recommendation or article that I read or something built around an app that usually crosses my path that acts, at least to a certain degree, as at least part of the vetting system that I have. But I do, when I go to install an app, I definitely do look at things like comments and rating and everything like that, because I find it useful to go down there and at least just glance at it and see, like, what are the last few people that have installed this? Like, what are they saying? And if it's a lot of 1 stars and like, holy cow, this thing is, you know, riddled with, you know, really invasive ads, or this thing, you know, the developer, whatever the complaints are, yeah, then I'm going to use that. I'm probably not going to install it. I totally refer to that. Do I look at, you know, would I look at a data safety section? I think I probably would. I don't think I would do that with every app, but I am of the opinion that more data, you know, more information is better than less, especially when it comes to this stuff, and especially now in this time where people are a lot more sensitive to data and privacy and security and all this stuff. So absolutely, I applaud that they're making this more transparent. I'm curious for you, Wen, do you have a sense of kind of the temperature of developers? You know, this is more information that developers have to kind of build in, so it requires more work, but it also, to certain developers, like they might be okay with the fact that people don't understand completely the mechanics, and they might not. And by the way, they might not even be doing something wrong behind the scenes. It's just that's another speed bump in the way of someone downloading their app. Yeah,
I mean, I honestly feel like, and I think this is coming from being at a company where when GDPR came out, we had to kind of be all hands on deck and like reevaluate things. And that was actually more traumatic, like having to kind of make sure that we were GDPR compliant, which meant we had to obfuscate a lot of data. We had to audit. So we've kind of been through this dance before in a lot more kind of an intense fashion, where we had to very carefully audit what data we were keeping, whether it was personally identifying data, like very specific things about a person, or kind of more generic things where you can't identify a person. So I feel like when it came to this, be like, this is old hat, you know? And I think generally speaking, at least for the devs that I know, this is not actually that bad of a process. It's basically a survey. And I think in a lot of ways, it keeps you honest. It's really like, and there's not really like a prove it. There's basically like, okay, a list of features like fit data, position, geolocation, personal name, email, yada, yada, activity. And you basically say, yes, I use it. And then specifically the purpose that you use it for. And it's not like a fill-in box where you have to kind of come up with a good story and like, you know, like backing up and references. It's literally just like, okay, pick a category for whether it's fraud detection or account management, yada, yada. So it's not really that bad. But I think to some extent, there would be repercussions if you kind of flagrantly lied, probably, and someone didn't verify it. But I think a lot of us understand these days that data and privacy are just not going to go away as concerns, you know, especially in the last like 5 years with everything that's happened in the world. I think users are, in general, I think at least a kind of general feeling of consciousness about data and privacy, and hopefully good developers will respect that. And I don't think I'd like to say that I think most people can recognize when they might be using data that they don't need to use. And whereas before, in the early days, you could kind of get away with it, or there wasn't really a lot of ways maybe for bad actors to take advantage of that. We're kind of more aware now of like the repercussions of, just like storing plain text passwords in your database. There's certain things that you just don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And I think all of us, as long as you're trying to do your job right, understand that. And so this is kind of like, no biggie. It's just kind of part of the thing. And like, they obviously gave you an extra month to do it. So I think we're down with it. And in a way, I think for us, I think the most heat that we got so far is internally, especially again, with being a company that cares a lot and is like kind of in multiple nations, or is a multi-country company, and we're having to worry about a lot more serious laws. It's just like, this is just part of the daily thing. This is just things that we have to be aware of. And it kind of lets us audit things that we don't need and kind of reevaluate and just be good citizens. So I think generally I would say most people are positive about it. I would be really surprised if someone was like griping about doing this, because it's really not that hard. And it's a declaration of, hey, I am not a butthole. I'm not going to be
I am not a crook.
I am not a crook. I am not a crook. So it's kind of just the cost of doing business. And that's a very like more cold way of saying it, but be a good person and like let people know what you're using their data for.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually this next story kind of ties into this to a certain degree. Some Play Store users are actually noticing some pretty interesting and, I would say alarming changes to listings on the Play Store that make it hard to know if an app is still being updated. So this is unrelated to what we were just talking about, but related to this idea of using the Play Store in a way that allows us to kind of keep tabs as far as, how an app is being maintained. Is it safe? Making those value judgments and those safety judgments for ourselves as users. The last updated date is disappearing for a number of users, as well as the what's new section. And what's new, that's usually the section where like changelog information ends up. Now, whether the developer actually puts meaningful information in the changelog, that's another story, but that's where it would go. Could be a bug. Google hasn't acknowledged this as of yet, but it could also be a feature, because last November, Google was running a test, an A/B test, in actually removing that last updated section from listings, which, I don't know. In my opinion, again, it goes back to what I just said earlier. More information is better than less. I definitely use the updated field to know if an app I'm installing has been updated 100%. Anytime recently. Yep. That tells me, okay, that developer is actually still active versus an app that hasn't been updated for 4 years. I'm going to be less likely to install that or recommend it.
That's a very good reminder, Jason, that I look at the updated date more often than anything to see if it's dormant or active or not, or real or not. Right. And if someone is actively updating their app, then it's being maintained, it's safe, it's got security things. If the app has been updated for me, it's really like 6 months, anything beyond 6 months. I'm like, that makes me a little nervous. So,
yeah. So hopefully it's just a bug and not a feature. And again, if it is a feature that they're getting rid of that kind of information, I don't know. That just seems like really valuable information. I couldn't see Google saying, no one needs to know that.
Yeah, the changelog is super weird. Like the last updated, I could kind of like squint my eyes and okay, maybe. But the changelog is really weird, because especially if you have a security update or if you have like a brand new feature, that's kind of what that's different. And also we put a lot of effort into our changelog. We're kind of known, like I think there's a history on Trello Android at least of funny changelogs. So we'd have one less thing to torture whoever's doing the release with the pressure to write cute release notes. So I'm very against this.
I will say for my day job app, I often write the release notes, and I'm like, nobody's reading this. Like, what? And I'm this close to putting in like, if you're reading this, email this address to get a prize, like that sort of thing.
So hopefully that goes away, and I checked on my end, and I still get these fields. So
I noticed this actually last month. I've been trying to like look into like strength, like a weight tracker, like just tracking how like the weight I'm lifting is like progressing. And I totally noticed this. I thought it was like me. I was like, that's really weird. Why can't I see the change log? Why can't I see last updated? Because
for you.
And it was gone. And I kind of like, as y'all already said, I use that to kind of compare. So if I have 3 or 4 apps that are very comparable to me, I'll check the date to see which one is the most actively updated, or check the change log to see what kind of things they're doing. Like, are they adding new features? Are they responding to security kind of issues? So yeah, I installed everything, unfortunately, and going to see who wins in my own personal, Thunderdome of strength training apps.
See, this is why we need an arena. We need a win-focused arena.
Yes.
You tell us which app you end up with.
So by the way, last week we were talking about possibly bringing the app arena back in some kind of maybe monthly format or something like that. We haven't worked it out yet. Maybe Jason will discuss that over drinks next week. But I would love to get your kind of take on evaluating apps. Because Jason and I did it for a decade. But
it was so much pressure whenever I was a guest.
I know.
I was kind of like Jason, I don't download that much stuff anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not, it's not part of my habit anymore. And there were times when inviting guests on where I kind of felt, a little bad for the guest, because I'm like,
we really put them on the spot.
Totally. It's like, come up with an app that you recommend by tonight,
Maybe Jason, we need to make sure maybe we do it when we don't have guests on the episode, because I'm with you there. Because some guests at work, but some guests were into it. But not for everybody, which is fair.
And more options for us too. Let's give us more to work with.
Exactly. But I will say the big problem with the app arena was that it just got to the point where like the game changer apps had happened, and and there was just a lot of and we were looking at games, and we're looking at, which is neat and fun, but like for me, like I want to find like what is that thing that changes the way I use the phone, which is a little bit of a unicorn.
Totally. That's you put it perfectly. That was, I would say, the big reason is like, okay, well, what is the value that we're really adding with the arena if we're all just like, we're not installing all of these apps and they're not on our phone, in perpetuity forever and ever. So then is it an app that we truly recommend for everyone to do that with? And at a certain point, it's kind of like, okay, so what are we doing here?
Yeah, back in the good old days when it's like we were looking for a better camera app.
Yeah, right.
The stock camera app does what I needed to do, and so
totally.
Times.
Maybe interesting to do it with large screen stuff. Like maybe as we get into large screen worlds, maybe we should start curating large screen device experience. To be like, hey, maybe this is what. Yeah. When
you're talking my language, I would love a tablet specific arena. That'd be fantastic. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But we'd fall back on the tablet problem, which is their media. It's going to be media apps. It's going to be like, it is interesting, but I love exploring the idea of either the large screen or foldables or something like that in some way of, apps that utilize the device in a way that we're not used to.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, let's take a break and thank our first sponsor. And that's going to come from Streak. I'm very excited about this. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Streak. As a startup founder or entrepreneur, you know what it's like running your business from your inbox. And trust me, I know all about that. Whether you're tracking sales, fundraising, hiring, or support, Streak is a CRM that will help you stay on top of all your processes directly inside Gmail. Use Streak's free email tools to check if your emails have been opened and send bulk emails with automated follow-up emails to improve your response rates. Since Streak is built inside of Gmail, it's part of your everyday workflow. See details about your leads, customers, and investors alongside your email, and no more switching between Gmail and other tools. Whether you're prospecting for new customers, raising a fundraising round, growing your team, or managing support tickets, use Streak pipelines to track all your processes directly from Gmail. Getting started is easy. Set up your first pipeline in 2 minutes and customize each pipeline based on your needs. Streak makes it easy to collaborate by automatically sharing emails and notes with anyone on your team. And Streak was recognized as Google's Technology Partner of the Year and is used by thousands of founders, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. And let me tell you, Streak really is a game changer. For years, I've been working in startups, in entrepreneurial stuff. We live and die inside Gmail. We're all using the Google App stuff. But when you're looking for ways to improve the way you communicate with folks, whether it's customers or especially investors, having this information and having these tools at your fingertips within the Gmail window is so crucial and helps you not only work faster, but more efficient and higher quality. It truly can change the way you do business. Streak is just that great. So I want everyone to check it out. So try Streak out today. It's free to use on your own or use the Pro plan with your team. Get 20% off your first year of their Pro plan, their most popular option, by going to streak.com/AAA. That's STREAK.com/AAA for 20% off, and start being more productive in your Gmail, in your email, in your business, with everything. Streak will help you do that. Thanks, Streak, for supporting All About Android, and go to streak.com/AAA. Thanks.
Thank you, Streak. All right. And, I told you earlier, it's going to be a hardware heavy show. Mobile World Congress is a thing. It's happening now, and you're going to get it for like the next 30 minutes probably-ish. So let's do it. Boom. I don't know how busy it's been in Barcelona because of Mobile World Congress, but I know they've got a lot of device announcements.
I do miss and how much of it is virtual versus in person? Like, have they opened up? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know anybody who's there. Yeah. And I can't imagine many people are traveling abroad, especially given the state of things, right?
I know Sherilyn Lowe from Engadget was there or is there. Yeah. There are people there for sure, but it's not the same. It's got to be lower attendance. It used to be in years past, Mobile World Congress would happen and my Twitter feed was just exploding with Barcelona, and it's not. Of course, times are weird right now. Everything going on, in Ukraine, is totally taking precedent over a lot of this stuff. So that could be part of it too.
Totally agreed. And I just did a quick Twitter search just for the keywords Mobile World Congress, and there are 250 tweets today that said Mobile World Congress. That's it.
What?
250.
That feels very low. That doesn't make sense to me, but
yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. So, yes, and I did my best to kind of like group these things so that, it makes sense and isn't just a whole spattering of specs and everything, because sometimes Mobile World Congress coverage can be that way. But there's some pretty cool stuff. So when you got the first one, you got possibly one of the more interesting ones, I would say.
Yeah, so this is actually a little bit software-y along with being hardware-y. The OnePlus 10 Pro will launch next month. Now, last year, with the official kind of merging of Oppo. Is it Oppo? I'm so sorry.
No, you don't have to be sorry, because I feel like I've heard the answer a million times and I still say both of them. I flop between them all the time.
Oppo, right? Oppo. So with the official merger of Oppo and OnePlus of their R&D and development or R&D teams, they had planned to actually merge the OnePlus OS, OxygenOS, with Oppo's ColorOS. The idea was to kind of merge the the good things about OxygenOS and the good things about ColorOS, but it seems like they're actually backing off of that. So after the announcement last year at MWC, they have said, no. We're gonna, instead of giving you a global OS, we're gonna give you OxygenOS 13. And in fact, this isn't just kind of a delay, but it's just kind of a reworking of their strategy in that they're going to continue with just OxygenOS and not with a unified interface, operating system for the other Oppo devices and the OnePlus. It sounds like it actually came from feedback from the community, where I think there was just a lot of call for just keeping OxygenOS as is. And so you're getting OxygenOS 12.1 with your OnePlus 10 Pro, which I think is really interesting in terms of still being a unified device brand, but still keeping these separate like experiences, which kind of, it feels like a thing, right? Like it always feels like once device mergers happen, kind of like they want to consolidate all the things, create like a general, unified brand experiences. But in this case, they actually seemed like they listened to the community feedback and said, okay, you want OxygenOS still? We'll give you OxygenOS. So it's been a long time since I've used a OnePlus device. So I don't really have much skin in this game. I don't know if either of y'all have like feelings one way or the other on keeping with the OxygenOS.
We've certainly talked about it on the show over the last year, mainly because people have been upset about it, right? Yes. Because, OnePlus just as a brand, its identity has shifted in the last couple of years. And so it's easy to look at a few kind of key reasons why. And this blurring of the lines between Oppo and OnePlus could be seen as a very large part of that, right? And so this unified OS, I think a lot of people saw as kind of like more of the personality of OnePlus kind of being drained out and replaced by this kind of like merged, combined kind of ColorOS, OxygenOS combination thing. So I'm curious to know if the people who felt really strongly about it, because I don't know that I have felt that strongly about the merged OS. Like my interest in OnePlus has drifted a little bit, but I don't feel like I'm in the camp of like, they had better not merge these things, otherwise it's done for OnePlus. I don't really care that much as far as that's concerned. But I do like OxygenOS and have liked the OxygenOS. So the fact that they're keeping it, I don't know, kind of makes me happier. I don't know if it changes everything, but it makes me happier. What do you think, Ron?
I mean, I'm not currently a user, so I feel it's hard. Go back to, do we have skin in the game? But I get, like, I even when I was a OnePlus user, I adored my time with OnePlus when I had the 7 and the 8. Remember the little retractable camera on my phone?
Yep.
That was fun. That was a fun phone.
Yes.
But I can't say that I liked the phone because of OxygenOS back then. So I can't say that I'm glad about it now. I'm glad they're keeping some identity, the purists and the folks who want it. Like this was the result. This was the result people wanted, right?
Yeah,
so
right,
I'm happy.
Right.
I'm happy. I can be happy for them in that regard. But yeah, I didn't find that. Yeah. I just didn't find that much about OxygenOS that was so compelling that made me stay. Let's put it that way.
Well, and even OxygenOS has changed a lot. Just a couple of years ago, OxygenOS was very different than what it is now. They had that refresh, that kind of redesign of OxygenOS before they announced that they were going to merge the OSs and refresh it again. And, prior to that, it was very much a, here's a stock-ish Android, here's a vanilla-ish Android, but with some really extra, key bonus features that make it more better for power users. And then they kind of went in the direction of like a Samsung and went full on with the skin and really kind of, changed the look and feel of everything with it. And that kind of turned people off too. So the OxygenOS that you're getting as a result of this announcement is the latter and not the former. So it might still tick you off if you were upset about it before. So I don't know, you can't please everybody.
Definitely can't make everybody happy or anybody happy. No.
Right. Exactly. But we will be getting the 10 Pro as well here pretty soon. Yeah. So by the end of the month. So that's good too, which I'm always curious to see a flagship OnePlus device and put it through its paces. So hopefully we get the chance to do that. And then of course, it's almost like this first half of the Mobile World Congress block is Oppo, OnePlus, Realme. They're all part of the same kind of big conglomerate together. So bear with that. But Oppo news from Mobile World Congress: the Find X5 and X5 Pro flagships were announced. I don't need to dive too deeply into these, but some of the things that stuck out for me. The Pro has a ceramic design. So what you're seeing right there is the Pro with a ceramic design. Definitely has kind of a unique kind of camera bump area too. It's like kind of curvy, little soft, you know what I mean? Not hard edges.
Integrated, yeah.
Yeah, it looks nice. Like I actually look at that design and I like that a lot. So
yeah, I actually do like that.
Yeah,
that looks pretty cool.
It's very striking. And
striking.
Yes, ceramic design on that one. I think the X5 might be, gosh, I can't remember if that's glass, and then the X5 Pro is the ceramic one. Also has a I think it's called the MariSilicon X chip, which is advanced imaging and video processing inside the device, kind of similar to what you get out of Google's Visual Core chip. So I think that's probably more like their AI processing for the camera features and stuff. So, and then outside of that, your standard specs, the lower end, the Snapdragon 888, the upper end, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, both have really great displays, high res, 1080p on the lower, 1440p on the upper, IP68 protection on the Pro, and these are clocking in around 999 euros to start. That's for the X5, and then 1,299 euros for the X5 Pro. So definitely they're flagships. I'm trying to think if I've really spent a whole lot of time with Oppo devices in recent years, and I don't think that I have. Don't get many opportunities. That's why we bring Mateo on when we do.
Right, exactly. I can't say I've ever even seen an Oppo device in person.
I'm sure he's brought one in. But they also mentioned that they're doing a tablet, so they're going to have their first tablet. Which some of the articles that I read about this were getting excited about the fact that if Oppo's doing a tablet, then that probably means that OnePlus will do a tablet at some point because they share so much between each side, which is totally true. This is an 11-inch tablet with a Snapdragon 870 processor, stylus support. It is launching with Android 11, but it's only launching in China, at least for now. But converted, the price comes around $363 to $474. So, not a bad looking tablet. It kind of has a weird but interesting kind of graphical kind of pop art thing on the back.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. Tell you, this is the year of the tablet. I'm telling you, I think this is they're gonna be all the rage.
I think you're right to an extent. Google has shown more interest in tablets, and so I think I'm guessing what we'll see is more hardware manufacturers saying, okay, let's try this out again. If Google's putting effort into it, we want to be there because maybe we don't want to miss out. And what does this mean for the tablet ecosystem on Android? We can cross our fingers and hope that it means something.
Yeah.
And then finally, fast charging was part of Oppo's announcements. They announced a number of things. They announced 150 watt SuperVOOC charging. That's SuperVOOC. So 150 watts. And when you break that down, 4,500 milliamp hour battery can charge from 0 to 50% in 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
That's almost hard. That's hard to even I kind of
fathom. Yeah,
exactly. It's hard to fathom that. 5 minutes, 0 to 100% in 15 minutes. And they announced that this is actually going to debut in a OnePlus device in the second quarter of this year. So this isn't one of those technologies that you hear about and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then you never see it. Apparently it's coming to a OnePlus device later this year. So not bad. I just hope the battery can hold up over time.
I hope it doesn't blow up, right?
Yeah,
it just feels like you're playing with fire there, literally.
Hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully not literally. Yeah.
Well, they did announce that there was a battery health engine that they've designed to improve longevity of the battery because of this crazy fast charging. They also showed off that they're testing 240 watt charging. So 150 watt actually releasing, but they're also testing 240 watt, which goes from 0 to 50% in 3.5 minutes, 100% in 9 minutes. But no launch planned on that. That's still firmly in the prototype vein. So
I wonder what the actual physical limitations on fast charging would be.
Man, there has to be. Yeah, you're
gotta
right.
be. It's gotta be. At some point, everything's just gonna blow up. I heaven forbid anyone's phones ever blow up, but there's got to be a point where just 360, 400, 500. No. You got to back it up.
Well, and also to the extent that do we really need 0 to 100 in 1 minute? when we can have it in 3.5 minutes.
Actual use cases. Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I mean?
I would argue that yes, we do, because that's
it would be neat because it's neat.
That's an additional 2 minutes I get back, Jason.
All right, fine. It would be neat and cool, but you're right. Like the laws of physics, you start running up against those things. It's creating a lot of heat on this battery, and hopefully, they're addressing that as well. But pretty neat that they can do it nonetheless.
Heck yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I love wacky things like that. Anyway. All right. Well, speaking of wacky things, we got a Realme update for Mobile World Congress. There you go. I know everyone's been waiting for this. The Realme GT2 and GT2 Pro flagship series are going global, featuring their bio-based polymer design to cut down on carbon emissions. So there you go.
Okay.
So bio-based, I don't know what that means. So they're running the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 system on a chip on the Pro device, on the Pro model, and a Snapdragon 888 on the regular model. 6.7 inch QHD plus 120 hertz OLED screen. It got a 5,000 milliamp battery and 65 watt wire charging. Yeah. It's not the same as 24.
65 watt,
240
whatever.
watts, but still.
No, my goodness.
What does that take? 15 minutes to charge to full?
Come on.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's got a triple camera array, and you can get it for 649 euros. And this is actually Realme offers 3 years of major updates and 4 years of security for the first time, which is really, really exciting. So 3 years of major updates, 4 years of security updates. That's pretty solid. So if you're looking at investing in a quite handsome looking bio-based polymer phone, at least you'll be covered for 4 years of security updates. And our video watchers see this, for our audio watchers, this bio-based polymer is a nice bright blue with a triple camera array on the back. It's a nice looking phone. It's got a little pinhole in the upper left-hand corner on the front. Looks very pixel-ish, to be honest with you, or Pixel 5, Pixel 4-ish.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, the camera kind of block, actually, I mean, no surprise, right? They're all in bed with each other, but it reminds me of the latest, the OnePlus device, the Hasselblad kind of camera array.
Yeah.
Has a big time look of that. Man, this company's just sharing its designs across all of these different points. It's pretty obvious.
Its OS. But not
its OS. Yes, that was a bridge too far apparently for people. But
I wonder how that biopolymer feels. You know what I mean? Like, is it like pretty plasticky? Is it like I'm just so curious, because obviously, like, I mean, a fast charging battery is not that environmentally friendly, but I love the idea of experimenting with different materials and just seeing like where we can push things. I mean, obviously we love glass, we love aluminum, like even like, great plastic phones can feel great. I'm just so curious what the biopolymer feels like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Who's to say that, one of these more unique design approaches doesn't, just because it's not glass doesn't mean it can't feel or be perceived as premium. Maybe we end up with a new material that we haven't really used or tried before, and it has its own kind of characteristic that people latch onto. And then, whoa, wouldn't it be great if that made the device even more, could survive a fall, better as a result of it. So I'm all for it. Try it out.
Well, speaking of unique designs, so we talked about the Honor, which is formerly a Huawei brand, Honor's foldable device last month, and at MWC they unveiled two flagship phones: the Honor Magic 4 and the Honor Magic 4 Pro, both, pretty flagshipy, got really nice 6.81 OLED screens, very similar. The Pro is just a little bit more dense, both water resistant. Magic 4 Pro, a little bit more water resistant, and same thing, triple camera, telephoto, regular and ultra wide, primary and ultra wide, and 120 hertz screens on both. And just really great colors, both coming out with Android 12. So a unique design, like, so as opposed to the kind of like rectangular-ish camera bump in the upper corner, it's got this really cool like circular array that's kind of just in the centered horizontally in the upper back, which I think is kind of cool. I think that's actually what stuck out to me most when looking at this, is that, hey, we're iterating yet again on a flagship design. Not everything has to look kind of similar. Let's try different things. Will this work? Is this going to be like, are people's fingers going to get in the way because they're kind of used to having the cameras off to the side? Who knows? But always good to see, continued iterations on, what a phone can look like. Where can you put cameras and what are people going to respond to? So, yeah.
I always like when, because it doesn't happen very often in smartphones, but it has happened before where the camera array is like this circular shape on the back. And it just reminds me of old school cameras, It actually has a camera feel to it, like an old school camera feel to it. So I like it. I think it also kind of has like an iPod, like jog wheel feel to it.
Yeah,
I kind of wish I could put my finger on it and rotate it around, but that would just smudge the lenses. So don't do that.
I like that. I wonder what the cases will be like. Cause I think I'm kind of used to like, the cameras being off to the side and like, obviously like gratuitous selfie taking or whatever, I kind of know where to put my hands. It's kind of interesting that, the camera takes up so much of the back, whether that will be kind of like a boon if you're like super photography, videography, like centric with your phone, or whether it's going to be a pain in the butt. It'd be really, really interesting to see. But yeah, it's really cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I dig it. I like it.
And pricing, €899 starting. So, 1,099 euros for the Pro. So again, good amount of kind of like more premium priced devices coming out of Mobile World Congress. And this is right there along with the rest. So cool stuff. All right, let's take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode. And then we have more Mobile World Congress hardware and a little something else that isn't hardware coming up in a moment. But first, this episode of All About Android is brought to you by Coinbase. Coinbase, Coinbase, right? Much coin, such base. If you've been following the cryptocurrency craze, now is the time to start getting involved. Coinbase makes it quick, makes it easy to start your own portfolio and learn to trade like a pro. I've been using Coinbase for a long time to kind of follow the trends in crypto, to learn about crypto, because I would say Coinbase is really good at offering ways inside of the app to actually learn about different cryptocurrencies and the missions behind them and everything. That really good education basis in the Coinbase app. Backed by the world's leading investors, Coinbase keeps your portfolio safe and secure while adding crypto into the mix. Coinbase offers a trusted and easy to use platform so you can buy, you can sell, you can spend your cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone. And, they're always adding. So, I remember, and I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't have Shiba Inu in your portfolio, right? But I remember when Shiba Inu was, kind of getting all these headlines and everything, there was a time where it wasn't supported in Coinbase, right? Like you couldn't actually trade or buy or sell it in Coinbase, but you could track it. And then at a certain point, you could. So they recognize these trends, and they do a really great job of bringing some of these cryptocurrencies in to offer. They offer portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto all in one place. Millions of people in over 100 countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. So whether you're looking to diversify, if you happen to just be getting started, you're searching for a better way to access crypto markets, you can start today with Coinbase, and they make it super easy for you to do. For a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today. All you have to do is go to coinbase.com/partner/AAA. Sign up at coinbase.com/partner/AAA. You'll get that $10 in free Bitcoin. This offer is for a limited time only. Limited time. So be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/partner/AAA. And go use that URL. That's how you get the $10 in free Bitcoin. That's how Coinbase knows that you heard about it on All About Android. And you can see full terms by going to Coinbase.com. We thank Coinbase for their support of All About Android. All right, we don't have to roll another bumper. It's cool, Burke. You can take the night off.
Jason, I was going to disagree with you there. I need a good bumper to get started.
So. All right, this is how you rev up.
Intro.
And let me tell you, the only thing better than a new bumper is news from our friends at TCL coming out of Mobile World Congress.
Yeah.
And I got to give it up to TCL. They're coming on strong in 2022. They announced 5 new variants of the TCL 30 series. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 new variants. All of these are extremely reasonably priced phones. The top of the heap is the TCL 30 5G. That's got the MediaTek Dimensity 700 chip, 6.7-inch FHD Plus AMOLED display, 50 megapixel primary camera, 2 megapixel depth, and macro cameras. All this for just 249 euros. It's crazy. Very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm most excited about, and it wouldn't be Mobile World Congress without some prototypes and especially some foldables. TCL's foldable prototypes, the Ultraflex, with a 360-degree rotating hinge and flexible display. This baby, not only does it bend inward, but it also bends outward.
Whoa!
You gotta see it to believe
really
it.
Awesome.
Hold the smartphone.
Hold the smartphone. It is an 8-inch 2480 by 1860 PLP AMOLED display. Engadget said that it still needs work as the hinge felt at times like crunching cereal under a membrane.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
it needs
just
a little bit of work then.
exactly what you want to hear when you're thinking about your foldable phone.
No.
But yeah, this phone is something. Conceptually, you can see TCL is they're really trying to push the limits on what this stuff can do. And honestly, that's kind of neat. In there for our video watchers, you're seeing the stills from it, where it folds both inward like a book and outward like if you were gonna prop it up as a like media watching display or something like that. Really, really interesting. So TCL also. Oh, sorry. Go after you, Jason.
Oh no, I was just trying to understand. I was trying to figure out like so when you fold it in, the display on the inside goes to the edges. When you fold it out, like, right? Doesn't the display like cinch up? Then you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm doing a good job of describing it, but I don't know how the display reaches to the edges on in both directions.
Yeah, it's strange.
So it's like it has to stretch out. I don't know.
Yeah, like it folds like but basically, so it folds like a book or like a Galaxy Fold, right?
Yeah.
But then it folds the opposite direction where the outside of it is still the display. So the hinge has display, Jason. I think that's what you're
No. It's not the hinge. So actually, this picture is a good way to point it out. So look along the long side edge on the left photo. Sorry, audio listeners. And there's like that area there where the display is. The display not reaching to the end of the phone. Like it has to get. You know what I mean? How is it going to reach the end? And then also fold inward. I don't know. My head's having a hard time understanding it.
It's strange.
But anyways, it's prototype. So you got to give them props for the prototype, even if it does, have the sound of cereal crunching when you use the hinge.
And the inward and outward folding phone exists, but also keep in mind TCL in their booth, they had their rollable phone, right? Like where the thing comes out. Like TCL is really trying to, push boundaries, and I dig it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you say that there's video? I think so. I don't know. Burke doesn't know what to expect, but he thinks there's video.
Oh,
there's
TCL.
Engadget video. Yes, there is. But we don't know what to expect. There's friend of the show, Sherilyn Lowe from Engadget. You can always.
There's the rollable on the video right there. Yeah, there it is.
These days, you can count on TCL for their wacky.
They're going. I think they. Yeah, there it is. There's the fold. There's the fold inward, outward.
Yeah,
so
interesting. Yeah. All right, so everybody go to Engadget. Check out Sherilyn's coverage of this. She is at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, hopefully eating jamon at this very moment. Okay, so here it is folding. Okay.
Crunch.
Yeah, it's like I can see it crunching. Yeah, interesting.
It's so weird. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Interesting stuff. All right. When you have a device that's a lot less interesting, actually, by comparison.
Yeah. So, hey. So it is interesting if you want flagshipiness at a much lower price. So Poco, which is a Xiaomi owned brand, is hoping to give you mucho for your money. Sorry. With the and have debuted 2 devices, the X4 Pro 5G and the M4 Pro at MWC. The X4 Pro 5G is actually, what is this? What do we got here? We got a flagship level experience at about 299 or 349 euros, which is for us American folks 335 to 391, some more kind of mid-rangey prices, but kind of like the usual things that you'd expect from a flagship device with 120 hertz screen. 3 cameras, 6, like the primary sensor, ultra wide and micro, and 16 megapixel selfie camera, and quite a sizable battery, 5,000 milliamps, 15 hours, which can support 15 hours of video playback or 25 hours of reading, and supports 67 watt fast charging. And along with that, also the M4 Pro, which is just a little bit smaller spec screen with a 90 hertz refresh rate, a kind of similar but slightly kind of smaller spec cameras, and costing, let's see, 219 euros or 246 US dollars for the lowest 6 gigabit, not gigabytes be not very much RAM at all. 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 version for, let's see, wait a minute, I'm mixing this up. That's 128, my bad. 6 gigabits. God dang it. 6 gigabytes of RAM. I'm a programmer. I should know the difference. 128 gigabytes of storage, and then a larger, more expensive version at 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM for $302 or 269 euros. So a couple different things.
Prices are low.
Yeah. And like, again, a slightly different design. This is kind of like taking the traditional flagship camera bump rectangle in the corner and stretching it out. I don't actually see any sensors or anything on the right side. That stretch out. It's more like a design thing. The cameras are still kind of isolated to the left side, but kind of a little bit of a different look, and definitely much more friendly pricing for a quote flagship, capability, or flagship level capabilities. So more options.
Yeah, and people seem to love the Poco, the Poco devices. I have not had a chance to play around with them. Mateo definitely has. I feel like he's been on the show before with 1 or 2 of the Poco devices. Maybe even Miriam Jouar has been on and talked about Poco before. Yeah. I mean, I actually think the design on this is very unique. Like, it's kind of doing what the Pixel 6 did with the kind of like side to side, the full side to side camera bump, to at least have a little bit of that symmetry. So it has the, resting on a table, flat experience instead of wobbling.
Yeah.
I appreciate that anyways.
I like the look of these a lot.
Yeah.
I
cool.
like dynamic colors. I like the defined camera region.
Yeah.
I think, like these are the kind, we've talked a lot about how phones often look the same, and like, why did we like the Pixel 6? Because it didn't look like anything else on the market. If someone's holding this phone, it doesn't look like any other phone they have. You're going to want to know what it is. If you see that yellow or blue phone with that black area and like all that sort of stuff, like I want to see more designs that push the identity of the phone themselves and the way that they're doing it here. I like Poco.
Yeah. They definitely pop. I love all the dynamic colors, and I always love the Pixel colors, but they're always kind of subdued a little, like in a nice way, subdued. But I love these, like you said, Ron, like super dynamic, like it definitely stands out. And you certainly know what phone this is. This is the Poco. Like there's no denying that it's a Poco.
It tells you right there in big bold letters, Poco. Which is really handy if your name is Poco, by the way. But
that'd be
Poco.
Okay, well, we'll prepare to not see those in the U.S. ever. That's basically how it goes with Poco phones. But still, nonetheless, very cool looking. Same goes for Xiaomi phones, which they make some amazing devices. I do wish that at some point we would have the opportunity to have some of their devices in the U.S. But God, it just year after year, it seems like that's not going to happen. It's just not in the cards. And then finally, this is the part of the Mobile World Congress that isn't really hardware-y. Qualcomm has a presence at Mobile World Congress, and they have announced that they are apparently working on the S3 and S5 sound platforms. And what does this mean? It's going to enable a number of things, but at the top of that list is support, like Bluetooth support for lossless audio. So if you have a device that supports the S3 and S5 chips that ultimately would support Snapdragon sound, which I believe we've talked about on the show in the past when they announced it, I think last year, Qualcomm says that you will have the ability potentially to stream lossless audio from that phone to a supporting headset, right? So if you're wearing earphones that support this, you can get lossless audio, 16-bit CD quality sound in totally lossless format. It will also support a lossy format that transmits high-res 24-bit 96 kilohertz audio. So if you like your high-res audio, and like I'm thinking about the services, so there's Tidal, there's Apple Music that I think offers the high-res, right? So
I think they do, yeah.
Those are probably the apps that initially would support this whenever it starts to hit devices. So so some people, not everyone out there, care about lossless audio. There you go.
I think Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer offers it, as does Amazon Music, Amazon Music HD.
So more and more. Yeah, that's
and
good.
Supposedly Spotify's offering it soon, but not as of yet. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There are other improvements as well. The sound system will drop latency 25% faster to 68 milliseconds, which, 68 milliseconds is still a lot higher than like the 3 to 5 milliseconds you'd get if you were wired. But when you're gaming, that brings it closer. Or when you're watching a movie, like, have you ever plugged in your Bluetooth earbuds to watch a movie on your phone or watch something on your phone, and like the sound that you hear is totally out of sync with the video? That's this latency aspect. And so this improves that. Will also enable multi-point streaming or sharing of audio, and not just to two people at once, like potentially to a lot of people at once. So that's kind of interesting. You could have like a music listening party, everyone in Bluetooth. And then improved noise cancellation and super wideband voice quality for better sounding calls. So interesting audio related announcements from Qualcomm at MWC. I don't know when we're going to start seeing devices that support this, but still, that's pretty cool. Lossless audio. Do you trust a lossless audio quality coming over Bluetooth? I feel like at this point we're used to just assuming that Bluetooth audio always is less than ideal when compared to wired audio. What do you guys think?
I feel like you're going to have some loss in that scenario, even with your lossless audio. I don't know, but but they've got to believe in it if they're going to tout it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I will say from the dev side, Bluetooth APIs are some of the most torturous to work with. They're kind of infamously bad. Yeah. I have a really good friend, Eric Hellman. He's a developer out of Sweden, and that's his like thing. He's like Bluetooth LE Eric. And that's kind of just been his like thing, is just to kind of help people understand how these work and make them work. But it's a problem. Any kind of hardware API is always a F word or terrible experience. And this is great, but part of me just like, man, I still don't want to work with a Bluetooth API if I don't have to help it. And it's kind of like, it's a general thing. Hardware is hard. Kind of makes sense. Google in general has been trying to make like hardware APIs easier. I think most recently camera APIs, which I used to kind of give talks on, also absolutely horrendous, just because of all the different types of cameras, all the hardware manufacturers. It used to be ridiculously hard to do like fancy camera stuff. And recently they kind of try to like not dumb it down. That's not kind of smooth the edges over for devs. And they released this thing called Camera X. And I think just kind of, yeah, exactly. And so hopefully one day we'll have Bluetooth X, and then hopefully Eric can take a break from talking about Bluetooth. But yeah, it's always.
If Eric wants to come on the show and talk about Bluetooth, he's welcome.
I will ask him. He lives in Sweden though. What time is it in Sweden right now?
That's a good question. Time
too late.
Too late. Maybe if he's in town for I/O or something.
Yeah,
we'll have to get him on the show. He's great.
It's 3:34 right now. So as of a couple of weeks from now, it'll be 2:24 right now. Once we have our daylight saving. But yeah, maybe he's a night owl. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe if he ever comes to I/O.
If he comes to I/O. Well, super interesting. I'll be curious to see how that develops. All right. Coming up next, we've got your email that you sent in to us. Thank you. That's next. I don't know what that was. AAA twit.tv 347 show AAA. Ron, you've got the first one.
I do. And our first email comes in from Blake, who did not tell us where he was writing in from. So, Blake, I'm going to guess you're writing in from Iowa. Blake writes in and says, I bought the second generation Nest Hub with the sleep sensing. And remember, they said early on that this was at no charge for now. As I was setting up my new Galaxy S22 Ultra today, parentheses, excellent so far, and logged into the Google Home app, I saw this article that says they will begin integrating the sleep sensing with Fitbit Premium in 2023. Unless some major improvements are made, I wouldn't pay for this. Since I set up my hub, it rarely gets my sleep right and frequently says I'm awake when I'm not even after recalibrating it a few times. I'm curious if you think about integrating this with the Fitbit Premium is the right thing to do. The combination of my Galaxy Watch and phone have given me the information I've looked for and feel like Google charging for this is a bit of a stretch. Well, guess what, Blake? You don't have to pay for it. You just made your decision. It's like consumer power there. Like you don't feel the service Lauren's paying for it. Don't pay for it. There you go. Problem solved.
I will say, like, I would be really curious to know how many people would actually pay for it. Are people really going to pay for this? Like, anytime I ever saw it and then heard that they were going to charge for it, I was like, why?
I will say,
why would you charge for this feature? I don't get it.
I did have a sense of irony today as I realized that one of those apps that keep track of how many subscriptions you're paying and help you save money, you pay a subscription fee. So I have one of those, like, wait a minute, what's going on here,
goodness.
right? So so we're in a world where like there's some people who won't even blink an eye at this and think that it's giving them some level of service. You know, I do think that Google, especially with Fitbit, like I feel if Google hadn't acquired Fitbit, I wonder if they would have not made this charge, right? Or if, as they're looking for ways to beef up Fitbit Premium, this is something they could link in, and it's a piece of added value that goes with it. Right. That's what this smells like to
That's
me.
What it is. Yeah, that was my misunderstanding, right? I was getting that twisted. The fact that it's built into Fitbit Premium as like another feature among others, I think I was still hung up on my initial understanding of this, which was that, you know, and it could have been totally wrong, which was that Google was just going to charge for this feature or whatever. I was like, well, why would anyone pay for just this feature? That doesn't make any sense. Built into Fitbit Premium, it makes more sense. You know, what are the other features that you get through Fitbit Premium? I don't know, but you know, maybe those other features are actually useful, and this one you just don't use. Kind of getting back to what you said, Ron. Like, if this particular feature isn't useful to you, maybe there are other things in Fitbit Premium that are for $9.99 a month, which is what it looks like it costs. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to be tracking my sleep. I don't care. I go to sleep and then I wake up the next morning.
I'm the same way. I'm not hacking my sleep. So.
Oh no, I'm a sleep tracker, but I have a totally different device that does it. So I wouldn't use this anyway.
What device do you have?
I have a Whoop, and because I'm a little bit of a fitness nerd, I have a subscription for this, but it's all data science and data processing, but it tracks respiration, skin temp, all yada yada. But yeah, I'm a nerd. My husband and I talk about our recovery daily. We're very close.
I was going to say, what do you use all that data for? But it sounds like you actually use that data. Like that data goes into your workouts and your sleep.
Yeah,
and everything.
and also just
for conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, no. No one wants to hear that I have slept like crap for the last week, except for my husband. So that's when that's like my supporting evidence for when I need like that third cup of coffee. It's like, hey, look at my recovery. Look at this crap.
This is the reason for this cup of coffee. Okay.
Yes. Give me coffee.
Right on. All right. You got the next email.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is a sad story from Miguel. And I have a sad story. I have a sad and all too common story. Grandma got scammed into buying gift cards for some non-existent service. From what I can gather via my mom, Grandma was on the phone with the scammer and being coached while buying them at the store.
Ouch.
The good news is Grandma only gave them 1 out of 5 cards before she ended the call and thought to ask someone about the whole underhanded process. The bad news is they are $100 gift cards. The worst news is they are freaking Google Play gift cards.
So you've got in your possession $400 worth of Google Play gift cards. Okay.
I'm really sorry. Miguel says, I'm stuck trying to figure out a way to redeem some value out of them. The store won't refund them. No one I know has any use for them. Netflix won't take Google Play payment. Cardcash.com wants to give you $72 for a $100 gift card. I don't trust trying to eBay them after reading about yet more scammers scamming the scams. What are my options here? Woof.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you buy a lot of books. You could buy a lot of.
That's the thing. You can't really do a whole lot with those gift cards. Like you can't even spend those gift cards on like hardware. Like if there was a hardware thing that you wanted to get, you can't do that. It's really limited to apps, books, movies, music, newsstand, subscriptions.
The thing is, in this particular case, getting $72 for your $100 is better than getting nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
True.
I mean, that's true.
I hate to say it.
I was searching around and stuff, and there's also some Reddit subreddits. Sorry, I can't talk. There's one called Gift Card Exchange. Now, I've never used it. I would definitely say, use your judgment on this, but I think they have processes built into these subreddits to make it fair, to kind of moderate how these tradings happen. But the idea being, someone out there might have a gift card for $100 for Netflix and hate Netflix, and they want a $100 gift card for Google Play Music or for Google Play for the store. And so you end up finding that person, and it could be an even trade, and you could end up with a $100 gift card for Netflix. Or think creatively like that. I don't know what else you do.
I mean, I just did a quick search, and it looks like there's a site called GameFlip.
Yeah, there's sites like that. Mm-hmm.
And
they let you let you sell your card and that sort of thing. Yeah,
which is kind of similar to I think what Miguel was talking about. The $72 for a $100 card. Some of them will give you cash. Some of them facilitate a trade. And maybe that's where you're going to find your value. You're probably not going to get that money back necessarily, or at least not all of it. But maybe there's something else that your grandma needs that a gift card from another service could get. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Isla in the chat asked about whether the credit card company can undo the transaction. I know Miguel didn't specify, but I think a lot of times when these scams happen, they're actually buying them with cash. I think that's like the scammers kind of induce you to get cash out and then trade the cash in for gift cards. So I think that's part of it, so that it can't be reversed. But I could be wrong about that. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Miguel, if your grandma used her credit card, definitely call the credit card company. But if it's cash, then I'm sorry, dude. This is that really sucks. Yeah. It's so specific too. What were the scammers going to do with Google Play gift cards? I mean, I kind of had a thought.
Totally. I wondered the same thing. I was like, wait a minute. Why do they want that?
Yeah. Like the only thing I think of is like, do they have an app where that grandma could buy it or do some subscription? And like, are they like laundering the money through the Google Play store? That's the only thing I can think of is like maybe that, but that's just me speculating sitting here.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Thinking about horrible ideas. Yeah. Why a Google Play gift card?
I don't know.
Anyway, really sorry, Miguel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry to your grandma.
Yes, indeed. Good luck, Miguel. I hope that at least gives you a few other options to explore.
I'm looking no, that's not legit. Okay, well, forget it.
I should also mention, like, when I was doing searches, I came up with a lot of websites, and like, we'll just double down and triple down and say, like, we've never used these sites. We've never used these sites to trade gift cards. So I would really do your homework if you're going to go in this direction, right? Because we don't know.
This is like, because it's like I found there's some apps that like convert cards into cash and stuff like that, but then like, looking at like
tons of one-star reviews.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Scammy.
Exactly.
Probably subscription service.
I've been waiting 3 weeks for my thing. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, and that would suck, right? Like you send away your card and
to make it worse.
You're hoping, you're crossing your fingers that those $300 end up being turned into something usable and aren't just completely stolen. So just use your judgment. We haven't used these things, so we don't want to say, yes, this is definitely going to work. Just look into your options, and if you feel okay about it, I don't know. I think that's all we can really say about that. All right, and excuse me, I promise I didn't pick this person because they have my my last name for the email of the week. You jumped the gun there, Burke. He's so excited.
Sorry.
He's like, I gotta play the horns. But Daryl Howell is the email of the week, or has the email of the week. Thank you. And Daryl, who is not related to me, says, I currently have both Android tablets and iPads in my family and can say without a doubt that there are definitely things I can do on both generally basic consumption activities, but the iPad is far better and on some things than the Android tablet. Keep in mind that I use the lowest SKU of iPad, just with the storage bumped up to 128 gigs. I use it for editing and rendering videos of church services, as well as managing websites and most of my productivity work. It has literally become my laptop replacement for most things. These are things that can be done on Android tablets. However, you need more expensive and higher-end Android tablets. This is where the calculation falls apart. To match the low-end iPad in productivity, you have to spend more on an Android tablet than on the iPad. I've also found that the apps on the iPad just tend to run better and are more stable. My daughter used the ABC Mouse app when she was younger on a lower-end Android tablet, and it barely ran. Throw that on the low-end iPad of the same model year, and it ran fine. It's differences like this that cause more people to see the iPad as a more viable option for what they want to do. So comparing a Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 or S8 to an iPad Pro isn't really the comparison. They're being compared to the low-end iPad because it's powerful enough to do the productivity that people want. That's a really good point. In my opinion, this is why Android tablets are having trouble gaining traction. The manufacturers cut the processors and RAM in order to hit the price point, in turn hamstringing the tablet, and then people have a bad experience, which hurts the brand. I like Android, want them to succeed, but they have to be able to hit the price point of the low-end iPad and still be just as functional for consumption and productivity if they ever want to succeed. I thought that was a really great point. You know,
Yeah,
the price points are very different for what you get out of them. And you're right. I mean, Apple has done a really great job with loading its own internally developed silicon, the same one that you're going to find silicon that you're going to find in their, higher end iPhones, you're going to find in their lowest end iPad. And it's going to do all those things great, right? And then on the Android side, what? You spend $1,100 for Samsung's top of the line Tab S8, to do all those same things. And you're right, the math is completely different. So great point, Daryl. Thank you for sending that in. And not to mention, you may then buy like a low-end Android tablet because it costs less than that iPad. You still might then just have to replace it in a couple of years because it sucks way more now. Like you go ahead and get a Walmart tablet, an On tablet for $90. You're probably replacing that in a couple of years because you're going to hit the life of that, and then you're going to end up spending more than if you had just got the lower end iPad. So I don't know, following that logic, anyways. So thank you for writing in, Daryl. You are the email of the week. And now we're going to get more emails about the iPad versus Android tablets thing this is the discussion that isn't going away these days. We have these little themes that happen, and it's like everybody keeps emailing week after week, so the discussion lasts for like 2 months on the same topic. But
the year of the tablet, I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming.
The year of the tablet. Is that the title?
I don't know if that's the title. I mean, I feel like Mobile World Congress stuff is probably more.
Yeah, probably so. You're probably right. All right. Well, we hope you've enjoyed. We hope you've enjoyed Mobile World Congress roundup and a little bit of tablet thrown in for good measure. Thank you so much for watching and listening. When it's great to have you back. What do you want people to know about what you're up to and all that stuff?
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. I am currently still an Android developer. I do talks occasionally. I actually gave a talk 2 weeks ago for a Saigon-based meetup group in Vietnam. I woke up at 6 a.m. to do it. Ooh. And if you're ever curious about, what Android development is and want to kind of jump into seeing what the community is talking about, what the latest in Android development is, don't just watch me, but watch talks that people like myself put out on the internet for free usually. And you can find those kind of things at my Twitter, Queen Code Monkey. Yeah, on Twitter, not queencodemonkey.com. I'm Queen Code Monkey on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can find other stuff that I do at randomlytyping.com.
Right on. Thank you, Wen. Always appreciate your insight and you being here. And what about you, Ron? What you got?
Yeah. You can follow me over at oh my gosh, blanking. RonXO on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow my personal accounts there. And go check out Scorebit in the Google Play Store. If you're into pinball, you can keep track of your scores, find places to play, compete against your friends, all the fun stuff. And we sell hardware over at scorebit.io. We got a cool device that goes inside pinball machines to connect them to the internet. So it's very cool. So yeah.
Super cool. Ron's making the hardware happen.
Trying. It's hard.
Putting his money where his mouth is, and that the statement that you mentioned earlier.
There's a reason hardware is hard.
Yeah,
Hardware's hard.
There you go. Ron's living it. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
Also, big thanks to Burke here in the studio for occasionally speaking into the microphone, for even more occasionally laughing at our jokes with the microphone turned off.
It's true. You can't hear it.
Which is great.
Jason can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it. And I'm like, okay, I made Burke laugh.
It's more like cackling.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's more like, so thank you, Burke. Also, thank you to Victor. We don't hear you laughing, Victor, but we know you are. Victor's behind the scenes editing the show, publishing it, making it so that you can listen to it each and every week, and we appreciate you as well. Find me on Twitter at Jason Howell, doing other shows on the network, Tech News Weekly with Micah Sargent. Do that every Thursday at twit.tv/TNW, and so many other things. Don't forget twit.tv/clubtwit. If you like your shows without any ads, then this is the club for you. We remove all the ads from every one of our shows for Club Twit members. And, you're welcome to watch them without ads, or you're welcome to still watch the ads. We have plenty of people who subscribe and still just listen to the normal shows because they like the ads as well. But you also get other things. You get access to an exclusive Twit Plus podcast feed, tons of extra content that Ann Pruitt, who's the community manager, is helping to facilitate and building up. I mean, we've got so much exclusive content happening right now for Club Twit members. It's pretty awesome. Also, a members-only Discord. You get access to that, so you can chat with us in our Discord. It's a lot of fun. $7 per month. twit.tv/clubtwit. But that's it for this week's episode of All About Android. We do the show every Tuesday, so you can go to twit.tv/AAA and download and subscribe and all that stuff. Watch it on YouTube, whatever works for you. We appreciate it. And, well, that's about it. So we'll see you next time on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody. Oh, those buttons were fast. That was
those are fast ones.
There we go. There we go. And it keeps coming back to me for some reason. And I don't know what's going on anymore.
Ready? Oh my gosh.
Did you spend a lot of money on your brand new smartphone, and then you look at the pictures on Facebook and Instagram and you're like, what in the world happened to that photo? Yes, you have. I know. It happens to all of us. Well, you need to check out my show, Hands On Photography, where I'm going to walk you through simple tips and tricks that are going to help make you get the most out of your smartphone camera or your DSLR or mirrorless, whatever you have, and those shots are going to look so much better. I promise you. So make sure you're tuning in to twit.tv/hop for Hands On Photography to find out more.